Okay, take two. We're trying this again. I'm inviting Candice in, and we were having some technical difficulties. Prayers. She's been invited. It says she joined. Let me see.
There I
We did it!
am. Can you hear me though? Can you hear me, Megan?
Hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me and can you see me?
I can see you and hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Yay. We did it. We did
All
it.
right.
So let's
I'm gonna try something with my camera here. Let's see if that'll work. No,
well,
let
then
me keep it the way it was.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Like turn it down a little bit so that I can see a little more of your face. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Oh, and you know
okay.
And I can do that. Okay.
Okay. Welcome to the MS stage. I'm so glad to have you.
I am excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you for having me on your awesome podcast. Be watching her podcast is called Conversations with Candi.
MS Conversations with Candi.
Conversations with Candi. Okay. Got it. So let's start, Candi, with tell me a little bit about your MS story.
So I was diagnosed with MS in 2018. So I'm a fairly newbie, if you will, to the MS world. And I think what makes my story a little more unique than others is that when I was diagnosed, I was 52 years old. So I was well past that range, that age range that they typically give. It's usually 19 to 40 or something like that. Well, I was 52. So that was just like I said, just very unique. But it just started with one day I'm at work and I started going numb in my feet. Had no idea what it was, and I started to become numb from my toes to eventually to my torso within about a week's time span.
Yeah.
So wow. I went on that journey of going to the primary care doctor, where she immediately sent me to a neurologist, and that kind of started the process. So after I had MRIs done, the neurologist told me, you know what, I really see something here in your spine. I'm a little concerned about. I want to send you in for a spinal tap. And so that scared me because I knew then something was seriously wrong. I guess I thought since I was numb, they would give me a pill for it and I'd be all better, and that was it. So once she sent me for the spinal tap, I knew something was seriously wrong. And from that, I was diagnosed a few weeks later with MS. And it didn't take long. I mean, I hear horror stories of people. It's taking sometimes years for people to be diagnosed, but I went from the beginning of September to the end of October, so about a month and a half. So that wasn't bad, compared to others. So it's been quite a journey, but I am glad that I know what it is. And I know I say that I was diagnosed at 52 in 2018. However, I can pinpoint certain things that was happening to my body when I was a teenager, in my early 20s, in my mid 30s and 40s. So there were certainly symptoms now that I know what it was, but it was just always kind of talked up as being something else. I never thought more about it.
Right. So that's interesting. So thank you guys for joining. I'm seeing more people joining us.
Yay.
So what are examples of some of those when you were younger? Like now you're looking back and,
So two really big things. Throughout my childhood and even now into my adulthood, I've had horrible eczema on my skin. And I know now that's part of MS. I mean, I would get these like rashes or just kind of dry, scaly marks all over my body. And they would itch, and I would scratch and itch. And it was just a vicious cycle, right, of just itching and scratching. And I, end up receiving injections, steroid injections into those areas of my arms and legs. I end up going to what they call a light box, which was really a box where it emitted UVA lights to kind of soothe my skin. And then, of course, the countless lotions and ointments that I have purchased. And then another thing was when I was a teenager, I was a young adult, maybe 19, 20-ish. I had what I now know was carpal tunnel, but that was before they had a name for carpal tunnel, because my hand just went numb, and I couldn't feel anything from my hand to my elbow, but there was no explanation for it. I was not working at a computer all day, every day. And so they just sent me away with a brace, and I wore it for a few weeks until it got better, and that was it. But I now know that was probably MS. That was probably a symptom of MS.
Yeah. Did you do you still have eczema?
I do. I
Did
do.
You try it? Because I know that like my sister-in-law, she doesn't have MS, but she has bad eczema, and she got off gluten and dairy, and it totally went away.
No, I have not changed my diet to that extent. However, I do know that if when I lay off sugar,
Yeah,
that, it'll cut down that inflammation, on my skin. So I do know, though that sugar for me is a biggie. So when I'm off sugar, it really calms everything down.
right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Sugar is horrible for everybody.
It is for everybody and everything.
Everything. I mean, it's so inflammatory. So was there ever any kind of like traumatic event that preceded your MS diagnosis, or no?
No traumatic event. I did have, nothing traumatic that happened to me or to anyone in my family, but I do know what I can pinpoint a time when my husband and I were about to go to bed, and we were both in the bathroom, and I started to feel really lightheaded. And I told him, I said, "Oh, I'm really lightheaded." And for him to tell his side of the story, I started to pass out. He said my eyes, kind of bucked out, and I started to lean. And but from my side, I just started to see these just white stars, just white. And and he, of course, held on to me, and from there we went to the emergency room, and they did do a brain MRI on me. And that's when now fast forward a couple years later, I'm at the neurologist, and she's saying, "Hey, I noticed you had this brain MRI a few years ago. What was that?" And I said, "Well," and I explained to her what happened. And then I told her I had this horrible case of vertigo after that. So I think that was just kind of when my body made the switch, maybe from CIS into, full blown RRMS. I just feel like those stars or the white lights that I was seeing was something going on in my brain to just switch things over, and it became full blown MS.
Really showing you like, I need help.
Yes.
I got you. Pay attention to me.
And that's so true. That's so true. And then a couple, right before I started to go numb, my husband and I were on vacation, and we were driving through the mountains, and I again ended up with really bad vertigo. But I was like, oh, okay, well, we're just in high altitude. Maybe the change in altitude triggered vertigo. So again, didn't think anything of it until my body said, okay, let's just make her go numb so she can start, finding out what's really going on here.
Yeah, no, and your body talks, right? It does.
Absolutely.
I mean, and our body listens too. It talks and it listens. It listens
That's
to everything.
Right.
So it's like all about positivity,
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
negative towards our body. That our cells like it because they're always listening. So you started a podcast.
Yeah.
How long ago did you start your podcast?
The podcast was born right at the beginning of the pandemic. So I started storyboarding and started recording in January of 2020 with the plan to launch my first episode the first week in March of 2020. And I use March because that's MS Awareness Month.
Right.
So that's when we went live right at the beginning of March of 2020. And then I just recorded and continued to release episodes all throughout the pandemic. So it really was the perfect time because I had the time
Right.
to, I had the time to sit quietly and plan everything out and invite my guests to join me and have a conversation. And I think it was a time too where everybody was just kind of sitting quietly and reflecting and just ready to talk and ready to do something because we had been we were shut in. We really couldn't do anything or go anywhere. So it really was a good time. So it'll be 3 years. I started recording 3 years ago.
Wow. So that was only 2 years after you were diagnosed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And really and I was diagnosed in October of 2018. So really about a year and a half.
Wow.
Yeah.
So but you also have a full-time job, right?
I do.
Yeah.
So I do.
I want to do a podcast on top of your job and have it direct towards MS because
my college degree is in radio and television. So I've always wanted to work doing something with my voice. Now, I thought it would be anchoring the news or maybe doing something on the radio. I have become certified in doing voiceovers and a voiceover actor, but I never really did anything with that. And I had a friend of mine out of the blue, a few months before I started recording for the podcast. She reached out to me and she said, you know what, you really need to think about, doing a podcast or something like that. And I laughed. I was like, a podcast? I said, I don't even have anything to talk about. And she looked at me, she said, are you serious? She said, are you really serious? You don't feel like you have anything to talk about? And I said, I am. What would I talk about? She said, you can share your MS story and you can talk about MS and you can teach people. And I still, the light bulb came on. I was like, okay, well, that does give me something to talk about. But I really had to sit back and think about it. And I prayed about it. And I thought, maybe this can happen. And so that's when I started typing things out and doing a little storyboarding because I came up with a list of different people who I wanted to talk to, different people who I wanted to hear their stories. Many people I only knew from social media, just looking at their posts or something like that. And I thought, wow, I'd like to know, more about them. And so here we are. And once I started talking to a few people, then I had others just reach out to me. Hey, I'd really like to be a part of your podcast. I'd really like to share my story, so it just it grew and blossomed from there.
That's how I found you. I mean, I think I originally found you because I was in the process of launching the MS stage.
Yes.
And different podcasts. And I found an article about like the top 40 multiple sclerosis podcasts or something, and you were on that list.
Get out of here. I'm sorry, I'm messing with my camera because I still feel like I'm too low. But anyway, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I think I'm almost positive that's how I found you. And so I was like, oh, I should pitch her. And then I emailed you on your website, and then I didn't get a response. And then I emailed like a few weeks or a month later and said, I'm just making sure you got my email. And then you responded. Okay, so how are your current symptoms? What's going on in your body right now?
In my body right now, I have this intermittent, if you will, pain in my right leg, and it's really at my hip flexor. I'm pointing to it like you can see it, and you cannot. It's right at my hip, right at the hip flexor. And this is a time where I have it. I have been, and you know this, I've been traveling this week for a work conference. So I'm just getting back to town last night and then right back at the office, for a full day of work today. And so when I came home last night, I was limping. It was hurting really badly and I was limping. So yeah.
Is that like, have you had that before?
Yes, I've had it on and off for a couple years, about a year and a half now.
Okay. And does
Yes.
that feel related to MS, or does that just feel like, I don't know?
I do feel like it's related to MS. It's, in fact, when I talked to my neurologist about it last year, she said that it's nerve pain. It's nerve pain related to MS.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And it's your right leg.
It is,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. So interesting. So can we do a little practice with that?
Sure.
Okay. Will you
Sure.
close?
Okay.
Okay. So I want you to take a deep breath in and release. Take another deep breath in and release. Now, if you're having any thoughts, just let them keep passing by. Notice what you notice, but let them keep floating by like clouds in the sky. You don't need more thoughts right now. Now I want you to take a look in your mind's eye. I want you to look at your right leg, at your hip flexor. Just take a look at it. Notice what you notice. See if it looks like anything. Now I want you to ask it a couple questions. Say to it, do you have a name? Are you male or female? Or are you an object? Just examine what it looks like. Maybe it gave you a name. Now ask it a question. Say, why are you here? What are you here to show me? What are you here to teach me? Are you willing to be my friend? What can I do to help you? Now take another deep breath in. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Thank your right leg, your hip flexor, whatever its name is. Thank it for working for you. Thank it for being your friend. Thank it for showing you what you needed to see, what you needed to hear. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Yeah.
So when you're ready, if you'd like to share what you saw and what you felt.
So I will share that the name is Scooter
I
because
love it.
when when you asked what do I see, look at the leg and what do I see, and it just reminds me of a scooter. It gets me where I need to go quickly, and because my walk is a fast-paced walk at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's my scooter. It gets me back and forth, in and out, at a fast pace, and it keeps up with me at all
Mm-hmm.
times.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Scooter is a female, although it's a male, kind of a male name, but she needs me to rest her more often so that she can continue to function and to um, get me where I'm going. Perhaps I need to slow down my pace,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to slow my pace to her pace instead of her pace trying to keep up with me. I
Mm-hmm.
need to change my pace so that I can uh, slow down. To
Did
slow
you
my
get
pace.
bike, or did she have like a certain, was she wearing anything, or was she like a scooter?
She was a
She
scooter.
was a
She's a
scooter.
scooter. She's not a person. She's not personified. She is definitely an object. She's a scooter.
I love it. I love it when I mean, I have worked with so many women, everyone has their own thing.
Yeah.
Some are male, some are female, some are things, structures,
Yeah.
objects, whatever. And I'm so glad. Did you enjoy the
I
practice?
did. I do want to come. I'll be thinking of a better name for her though. She's an object, but I want to give her a better. I want to get her a better name.
First thing that comes to you, though, that's the important thing. You don't have to think about it. That's why I go in, it's your subconscious talking,
Okay.
because I don't want you to overthink it. I want it to be whatever comes to you.
Yeah.
So Sister is what is meant to be her name.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing you, and that is what you can call her from now on.
Okay.
Doesn't
All right.
call her Scooter. She wants to be called Scooter. They have, personalities. And so, but she was also giving you a message of, this is what I could use.
Yeah.
This is what I.
Yeah.
So our bodies, as I said, our bodies listen. Our cells are constantly listening. So the more you talk to her and befriend her and walk with her instead of fighting her, right?
That's right.
Just start talking with her and telling her, you've got this, Scooter. We can do this with your partner. She's your teammate.
I love it.
Yeah. I love her name. Oh, look, there you are. I can see you even better.
No, I don't know why it's not wanting to cooperate. Oh, thank you.
Welcome. It's so pretty.
Thank you.
So I love that. I mean, I go way deeper in my programs with this kind. Yeah. So this is just like a sampling of what I love to do. And I love that it was clear for you. Very clear.
Very clear. Very clear. And I enjoyed it. Thank you for walking me through that. That was very nice. That was good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
First, I love it. I love hearing what comes up for people. It's so cool. It's just special because I feel like, oh, I'm getting to know your friend too. Like,
yeah. I love it.
I love that. So let's see, what else do you feel of your story and of your journey would you like to share? Is there anything specific?
There's nothing really specific, but I do just want to make sure that I share that, my MS diagnosis has given me my purpose. It's given me the opportunity now to use my voice and to build a community and bridge a community together of those of us that are living with MS. For everyone that I talk to and interview and have on my podcast, I learned something new from everyone that I have met in the MS community. And I just think it's great when we can come together and share our stories, because I think that's very important. I think for years, people living with MS kind of kept it to themselves for whatever reason, living in fear or denial or whatever it is. I just think it's important that we come out of that shell and share our stories, because we are helping each other. And I love that.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's been such an interesting, we talked about this. I resisted it for 14 years. Like,
right.
diagnosed with MS. I didn't want to own the label, so I would never say I have MS.
Mm-hmm.
I did a support group. I didn't want to do the traditional route. Now, I think with social media, it's become even more
That's right.
to talk to people from around the world, because we don't have to be in the same room, right? Like it's a little more, it can be super intimate. Like my groups stage on Zoom are incredibly intimate and powerful, but it can still be, we're still like a phone apart, we're still a screen apart.
Exactly.
So you know people and you get to know people very deeply, but it's not maybe as intimate as they used to be with like going into a room in a support group with people.
Yes.
Which was scary, because then you could walk into a room and some people could be in wheelchairs or walkers or whatever. Whereas on a screen, sometimes you don't know if people are,
Very true.
So
very true. Let me share this. You brought something else to mind. When I was first diagnosed, probably within a week, I went to my local chapter of the MS Society and I don't even know why I went. I was like, I just need to go there and see, find out more information. And I went in there and I just kind of walked around, and someone got my attention. Hey, how can I help you? And I just burst out into tears, like, oh, I was just diagnosed. I don't know what to do. So they sat me down and she gave me, a lot of literature, and she talked to me. She told me about the MS navigators. They got me connected right then and there with the name of a support group leader in my area. And I did start going to MS support group meetings, and I actually thrived there. I really enjoyed it. I liked listening to everyone. My husband did go with me, and he did have that shell shock of seeing those in wheelchairs, and and then he started to wonder, okay, so exactly what is going to happen? Because we felt very comfortable. My neurologist told us both right at the diagnosis, oh, it's not the end of the world. She kind of gave me some expectations, but then to kind of see it in your face like that, my husband was like, oh, wait a minute, what exactly is, exactly, very shocking. So, and then I started going to an MS yoga class, but I did start pulling away from that because there I did not fit in. Everyone there was in a wheelchair, so I am still very mobile. And so I did feel a little, okay, this isn't for me. While I probably need to do yoga, I just didn't feel like I was I just didn't feel comfortable. I'll just say that, and the ladies were lovely to me. Everybody was so nice and so sweet, but it did kind of make me go, okay, I need a break. So.
Yeah, and sometimes you can identify with it too much. Not you, anybody could identify with it too much too. The other way, right? So if you feel like you need yoga, you could go to a regular class. Just
exactly.
Go to a beginner's class and do what you can, and focus on what you can do and not what you can't do.
That's exactly right.
So but I think that's great. I actually gave talks at the beginning of January. I gave 2 talks there to 2 different local chapters of MS groups here. So I kind of did a little bit of a practice of the MS stage and gave a talk, and that was really cool because a lot of people were in wheelchairs or walkers, and a lot of them were older. One of the groups I went to was like, I want to say the average age was at 60, maybe 65, 7. I mean, they had MS a long time.
For years, yes.
For years.
Yes.
So, but I was so surprised because they were really open to these kinds of conversations, and I like made them close their eyes and meditation, and I was like, I don't know how these people are going to respond to this kind of work, but they were actually really open, and I didn't go crazy and go super woo woo, but I did a little bit of
I love it. Super woo woo.
I didn't go too woo woo.
Yeah. A little woo woo, not super, but just a little woo woo.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yes.
I think that's awesome, and I think what you're doing is so so inspirational with your podcast and sharing people's stories. And I know you had taken a little bit of a break, but back now?
I am back, and I know I shared with you that I I thought I was going to stop the podcast,
Right.
and I've had this thought several times, but every time I think about pulling back, someone reaches out. So you guys just keep reaching out, and I'm going to keep putting out content. But as far as because at first, the first year, it was every, the month of March, there was an episode every week. And then every month after that, there was every other week. So I was putting out, an episode twice a week. So I'm learning to slow down.
Yep.
I'm learning to slow down, and I think it's all part of what Scooter's been telling me. I'm just slowing down, not only in my physical walk, but just not being overwhelmed because, as you stated, I do still work a full-time job. And so, and I have a family, even though my children are adult children, but, my husband and I still like to spend time together and travel and all of that good stuff. So I don't have to overdo it or overthink it. Just, as someone reaches out or if something comes up, I'll jump on and do something quick just to say, hi, I'm doing well. How are you guys doing? Or something like that. But just to keep the community connected.
I love that, Candi. Do you prefer Candi or Candice?
It doesn't matter. In my professional world, I'm definitely Candice,
right.
but the podcast is MS Conversations with Candi because that is definitely my casual name, my nickname, and I don't want any of us to feel like, you have to be so formal and call me by my official name. So Candi works just fine.
Okay, good. Yeah. So everyone follow MS Conversations with Candi, CA. And well, that's her podcast, and your Instagram handle is ms_conversations.
Correct.
Okay, got it. I want to make sure I'm getting it right.
Yep.
Well, I have loved this. I have loved getting to know your story. I've loved getting to know you a little bit, and this is our second conversation we've had together, and I'm so glad I'm so glad I introduced you to IG Live.
Yes, I know. Thank you for being patient with me. I did it once before with Edie. Hi, Edie, if you're out there listening. So that you're my second time doing an IG Live. So I'm going to have to branch out more.
Absolutely. Well, I like doing, if somebody's going to have me on their podcast, then I like to at least try to reciprocate and have them on an Instagram Live, and then we can both share it in our communities, which is great. So,
yep. Thank you. And I love what you're doing as well, Megan. You keep this up. I love the idea and concept of the MS stage, and just the little bit that I got today was actually very therapeutic. So I thank you for that, and I encourage you to keep going as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Candi, and thank you for being open to do it too tonight. I know, like, what is she making me do? Glad you did. And actually, can I draw a card for you? I like to do this. I just realized I want to do this. I draw a card at the ends of my class. This is a book called The Hero's Journey. Well, you know The Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell?
I do not.
No. Okay.
No.
His work is, he was a professor of mythology and religion and has written these super intense books. And anyway, I don't have to go into all that, but his framework is sort of the framework of what I teach. And so taking women down their journey, their own hero or heroine's journey, as I like to call it, to get back to the true essence of themselves. Mm-hmm. And through that, there can be a lot of healing that takes place. So this card deck is called the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle card deck. So I'm going to just draw a card for you if you don't mind.
Okay.
This is for you and Scooter.
You're frozen, so I don't know if it's me.
There it is. No, my battery went low.
Okay. Wasn't sure if it was me or not.
This one is Dream Sanctuary, Attend to the Simple Things.
Okay.
So I'll read you what it says.
Please. It's beautiful.
It is number 8, which also is the number of infinity. Okay, so here's a quote. It says, "At dusk, we encountered an elderly lady and her beagle hiking toward us. Teetering along on walking sticks, she wore a motoring cap and clutched a bunch of wildflowers. I said hello and asked her where she was going. She replied in Welsh, 'Rida, I'm ya Barrett.' We looked for Erica for translation. She said, 'I'm already there.'" And then it says, "Your sleep zone is your dream sanctuary, and yet you take it with you wherever you may roam. In fact, you are a dream sanctuary. You are a dreamer, and your presence provides a sanctuary for you and everyone who approaches you on the path of life. Your dream zone is the orbit in which you spend, dance, live, and love. Attend to the simple things to ensure harmonious flow in all your relationships, and you will sleep and awaken each day with a smile on your lips. Take inventory of anyone you need to forgive or to whom you owe an amends. Identify the attachments and behaviors you'd be better off dropping and release them. Resolve clutter in your bedroom, around your nightstand, at home, and at work. Make room for success, happiness, prosperity, and brilliant ideas to swoop in and embrace you unencumbered."
I love that.
The mantra is, "I am safe and free to be energetically and physically naked in my bedroom and beyond." So that was for you and Scooter. It's like,
Thank you.
telling you to rest more.
That's right.
Rest in your dream sanctuary of your bedroom, and to attend to the simple things to ensure harmonious flow in all your relationships.
I may need you to email that to me.
I will. I'll send you a picture.
I love that.
It's perfect. It's what Scooter was asking you
That's
to do.
right. That's right.
So
and we won't even talk about my insomnia and my need for rest. So yeah, that's something else. So yeah, I need you to email that to me.
I'll send you that. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yes.
Well, this was wonderful. Thank you,
It was. Thank you, Megan, and I hope to see you soon.
You will. I love talking to you, and I'm going to share this right now.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Get some good sleep. Tell Scooter to behave herself.
I will, and I'm going to behave myself first.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.